Captain Marcus Reed adjusted his position against the rocky outcrop, watching Zorithia's twin moons cast silver light across the crystalline landscape. The protein bar in his hands tasted like cardboard, but after 3 days of solo reconnaissance, he was grateful for any sustenance. His mission to survey mineral deposits had been routine until the Shadowkin attacks started terrorizing nearby settlements. A soft rustling from the nearby crystal formations made him reach for his sidearm, but he froze when he heard the voice. It was small, melodic, and tinged with hunger that reminded him of his own childhood on the outer colonies. "Are you going to finish that?" Marcus turned slowly, his breath catching as 3 small figures emerged from behind the shimmering crystals. They were unlike anything he had encountered in his years exploring the galaxy. Their skin held a soft luminescence like moonlight on water, and their large eyes reflected the starlight with an almost hypnotic beauty. The oldest appeared to be perhaps 8 Earth years, with silver hair that seemed to flow like liquid mercury. The middle child had deeper blue skin, with intricate patterns that pulsed gently with each heartbeat. The youngest could barely walk, clinging to his siblings with tiny hands that sparkled with bioluminescent freckles. "Who are you?" Marcus asked gently, setting down his weapon and breaking his protein bar into pieces. "I am Kira," the eldest replied in perfect standard galactic. "These are my brothers, Nyx and Zeph. We have not eaten in 2 days." Marcus felt his heart clench at the matter-of-fact way she delivered this information. He immediately offered them the food, watching as they ate with careful, measured bites that spoke of recent starvation. As they ate, he studied their features more closely. Their clothing was tattered but well-made, suggesting they came from a civilized society that had fallen on hard times. "Where are your parents?" "Us," Marcus asked softly. Kira's luminescent skin dimmed slightly. "They are gone. The Shadow people came to our village 3 nights ago. Vera hid us in the crystal caves, but we got separated when we ran." "Who is Vera?" Our guardian, Nyx, spoke for the first time, his voice like wind chimes. "She promised to find us." As if summoned by his words, a figure emerged from the darkness beyond the crystal formation. Marcus's breath caught in his throat as she stepped into the moonlight. She was tall and graceful, with the same luminescent skin as the children, but marked by intricate tattoos that seemed to tell stories across her arms and neck. Her hair cascaded down her back in waves of deep purple, and her eyes held depths that spoke of ancient wisdom and recent pain. "Kira, Nyx, Zeph," she called softly, relief evident in her musical voice. Then her gaze fell on Marcus, and he felt something shift inside his chest. Who is this stranger who shares food with lost children? Marcus stood slowly, his hands visible and non-threatening. "Captain Marcus Reed, Terran Exploration Corps. I found them asking about my dinner." Vera studied him with those remarkable eyes, seeming to peer into his soul. "You fed them. They were hungry." The dangerous revelation. Vera moved with fluid grace toward the children, checking each one with the practiced efficiency of someone accustomed to caring for others. Her hands glowed softly as she touched them, and Marcus realized she was using some form of bioluminescent healing ability. When she was satisfied they were unharmed, she turned her attention back to him. "I am Vera of the Lumerian people," she said formally. "These children are under my protection." "The Lumerian?" Marcus had heard of them in his xenobiology studies, peaceful beings known for their harmony with nature and their beautiful crystal cities. "I thought your people lived in the northern continents." Vera's expression darkened, her skin's luminescence dimming like a candle in wind. "We did, until the Shadowkin came with their war machines and their hunger for our life force. They consume light, Captain Reed. They feed on the energy that makes us who we are." As if to emphasize her words, a distant roar echoed across the crystal formations. The children instinctively pressed closer to Vera, their own light dimming in fear. Marcus immediately understood the gravity of their situation. "My ship is 15 kilometers north," he offered. "It has shields, weapons, and enough supplies for all of us." Vera looked at him with surprise. "You would help us? Your people and mine have had little contact." "Children in danger transcend species boundaries." Marcus replied simply. As they gathered the few possessions the children carried, Vera stumbled slightly. Marcus caught her arm, and through the thin fabric of her clothing, he felt the warmth of her skin and the rapid pulse of her heartbeat. Their eyes met for a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. "You were injured," he observed, noticing the darker patches on her clothing that he now realized were bloodstains. "It is nothing," Vera said, but her voice wavered slightly. Marcus gently pushed aside the torn fabric of her sleeve, revealing deep claw marks that still seeped luminous blood. Without thinking, he pulled emergency medical supplies from his pack and began cleaning the wounds. Vera watched him work with an expression of wonder. "Why do you care for strangers?" she asked softly. Marcus looked up from his work, meeting her gaze. "Because someone has to. Because leaving you to suffer would be leaving part of my own humanity behind." As he worked, Kira translated quietly for her younger brothers in their native tongue, which sounded like music mixed with the gentle tinkling of crystal chimes. The little one, Zeph, had fallen asleep against Vera's side, his tiny form glowing. "Like a nightlight should move," Marcus said, as he finished bandaging Vera's arm. "Those shadowkin you mentioned, how do they track? Heat signatures and life energy," Vera replied. "They can sense living beings from great distances." Marcus frowned, considering their options. "My ship has stealth capabilities, but getting there safely with children will be challenging." Vera stood slowly, testing her injured arm. "Lead the way, Captain. We trust you." Those words hit Marcus harder than he expected. Trust was rare in the galaxy, especially between species. As they began their journey through the crystal maze, Vera walked beside him, while the children followed closely. With danger lurking in every shadow, Marcus found himself stealing glances at the remarkable woman beside him, wondering how his simple survey mission had become something so much more important. The Shadowkin hunting party had found their trail by dawn. Marcus could see them in the distance through his scope, dark figures that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, moving across the landscape with predatory purpose. There were at least a dozen riding creatures that looked like mechanical nightmares fused with living shadow. "How many?" Vera asked, her voice steady, despite the fear in her eyes. "Too many," Marcus replied grimly. "We need to find cover somewhere. Defensible." Vera nodded toward a series of ancient ruins that rose from the crystal plains like broken teeth. "It's the old sanctuary. My people built it thousands of years ago. If any place can hide us, it would be there." They ran across the open ground, Marcus carrying little Zeph, while Vera guided Kira and Nyx. The ruins were farther than they appeared, and Marcus could feel his lungs burning in the thin air. Behind them, the hunting cries of the Shadowkin grew, louder. The sanctuary's entrance was a narrow gap between two massive crystal pillars, barely wide enough for an adult. They squeezed through just as the first Shadowkin mounts crested the ridge behind them. Inside, the ruins opened into a vast chamber filled with bioluminescent crystals that responded to Vera's presence, glowing brighter as she passed. "This place knows you," Marcus observed, awed by the beauty surrounding them. "Lumerian crystal technology bonds with our life force," Vera explained, leading them deeper into the sanctuary. "It will hide us from their sensors, but not indefinitely." They found a chamber deep within the ruins where ancient Lumerian symbols covered the walls in flowing script. Vera activated several crystal panels, and a soft barrier of light sealed the entrance. The children immediately curled up on the warm crystal floor, exhausted from their flight. "Rest," Vera told them gently in their musical language. "We are safe for now." Marcus settled against a wall, checking his weapons and supplies. They had enough food for perhaps 2 days, and his ship's emergency beacon was too far away to be effective. Vera sat beside him, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her luminescent skin. "Tell me about your world," she said, softly, her eyes reflecting the crystal light like captured stars. "Earth, it is green and blue with one moon and a single sun. We have oceans that stretch beyond the horizon and forests where sunlight filters through leaves to create patterns of light and shadow." Vera smiled, the first genuine smile he had seen from her. "It sounds beautiful. On Lumeria, we built our cities to mirror the crystal formations, growing homes from living light itself. Children would play in gardens where flowers sang in water, danced in spirals toward the sky. Would? Marcus asked gently. Vera's expression grew distant. The shadow can consumed it all. They drain the life from everything they touch, leaving only gray ash and silence behind. Marcus reached out instinctively, covering her hand with his. Her skin was warm and soft, and he felt a gentle tingle where they touched. I am sorry for your loss. Vera looked down at their joined hands, then up into his eyes. You are unlike any human I have encountered in the archives. There is light in you, Captain Reed. Genuine goodness. Marcus, he corrected softly. Marcus. They sat in comfortable silence as the children slept, their bodies pressed close together in the ancient chamber. When Vera finally spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. I am afraid, she admitted. Not for myself, but for them. They are the last of their generation from our village. If something happens to me. ... Marcus turned to face her fully. Nothing will happen to you, I promise. Vera searched his eyes, seeming to find something there that convinced her. Slowly, deliberately, she leaned toward him. Their lips met in a kiss that was soft and tentative at first, then deeper as they found comfort in each other's warmth. When they broke apart, Vera's skin glowed brighter, and Marcus felt as if something had awakened within his chest. The underground. Sanctuary crystal barriers held through the night. But Marcus woke to the sound of Vera speaking urgently in her native tongue to someone beyond the chamber entrance. He grabbed his sidearm and moved to her side, where she knelt before a hidden communication crystal that projected the image of an elderly Lumerian male. Elder Thane, Vera was saying. We have the children, but we need sanctuary. The Shadowkin. Hunt us. The projection flickered, revealing an ancient face marked with intricate tattoos that seemed to move in the crystal light. His eyes found Marcus and narrowed with suspicion. You travel with a human, young Vera. This was not wise. He saved us, Vera replied firmly. Captain Marcus Reed of Terra. He protected the children and asked for nothing in return. Marcus stepped forward, offering a respectful bow. Elder, I mean no harm to your people. Only wish to help Vera and the children reach safety? Elder Thane studied him for a long moment. Follow the deep path, Vera. The sanctuary crystal will guide you. But know that bringing an outsider carries consequences. The projection faded, leaving them in the soft glow of the chamber crystals. Vera looked at Marcus with concern in her luminous eyes. My people are not accustomed to trusting other species, she explained. They will test you. What kind of tests? Marcus asked, helping her wake the children. They will want to see your heart, Vera replied cryptically. The deep path proved to be a series of natural tunnels that wound through the planet's crystal core. Vera touched certain formations as they walked, activating a trail of lights that guided them deeper underground. The children recovered their spirits as they traveled, chattering in their musical language and playing games that involved making their skin patterns glow in different sequences. After hours of walking, they emerged into a vast underground cavern that took Marcus's breath away. The ceiling stretched up into darkness, supported by natural crystal pillars that pulsed with gentle light. Throughout the cavern, Lumerian families had built homes that seemed to grow directly from the living rock. Gardens of bioluminescent plants provided both food and illumination, while streams of pure water carved musical channels through the crystal floor. Welcome to New Lumeria, Vera said softly, watching Marcus's expression with a mixture of pride and sadness. The Lumerian refugees who greeted them were polite but distant, their luminescent skin dimming noticeably in Marcus's presence. Children peeked out from behind crystal formations, their large eyes filled with curiosity about the strange human visitor. Elder Thane approached them near what appeared to be the community center, his presence commanding respect from all who saw him. Captain Reed, he said formally, you have done our people a service, but your presence here creates complications. I understand your concerns, Marcus replied. I have no intention of revealing your location to anyone. It is not secrecy we fear, Thane continued. It is dependency. Vera tells us you wish to help in our war against the Shadowkin. But what happens when you leave, when your people recall you to other duties? Marcus felt Vera tense beside him. They had not discussed his eventual departure, and he realized that the Elder was forcing them to confront an uncomfortable truth. Perhaps, Marcus said carefully, the question is not when I will leave, but whether I choose to stay. A murmur ran through the gathered Lemurians. Vera's eyes widened with surprise and something that might have been hope. You would abandon your own species? Elder Thane asked. Marcus looked at Vera, then at Kira, Nyx, and little Zeph, who clung to Vera's leg. I would choose a new family, he said simply. That evening, Vera led him to the most beautiful part of the sanctuary, hanging gardens where crystals grew like flowers in streams of water, flowed upward in defiance of gravity. They walked together through paths lined with plants that chimed softly in harmonious melodies. Did you mean what you said to Elder Thane? Vera asked as they paused beside a fountain of liquid light. Yes, Marcus replied without hesitation. I have spent my career exploring the galaxy, but I have never found anything worth staying for. Until now, Vera turned to face him, her skin glowing brighter in the garden's ethereal light. My people bond for life, Marcus. We do not love casually or without commitment. Neither do I, he replied, reaching up to touch her face gently. There. Second kiss was deeper than the first, filled with promise and yearning. When they broke apart, Vera led him to a secluded grove where crystalline flowers created a natural bower. Under the alien stars visible through cracks in the cavern ceiling, they came together with a passion that transcended species, their union, witnessed only by the singing crystals and the eternal dance of light and shadow that defined Vera's people. The Shadowkin attack came at dawn, their war machines punching through the sanctuary's outer defenses with terrifying efficiency. Alarms made of crystal chimes filled the air as Lemurian families fled deeper into the cavern system. Marcus found himself standing beside Elder Thane in the command center, both of them watching the tactical displays with grim determination. They found us too quickly, Thane observed. Someone led them here. Marcus studied the attack patterns on the display. No, they followed standard search protocols. Your people were never meant to fight a war, Elder. You think defensively, not strategically? And you do? Thane asked, his tone challenging, but not hostile. I was a military officer before I became an explorer, Marcus admitted. Let me help. The next few hours became a blur of activity. Marcus worked with Lemurian engineers to turn their peaceful crystal technology into weapons, while Vera organized evacuation routes for the children and elderly. The sanctuary's natural defenses were impressive, but the Shadowkin had overwhelming numbers. They are trying to breach the North Tunnel, a young Lemurian warrior reported breathlessly. Marcus checked his improvised tactical display. That is exactly what we want them to do. Vera, are your people in position? She nodded, her skin glowing with the effort of coordinating multiple teams through their psychic link. The trap is ready. The Shadowkin poured into the North Tunnel, expecting to find fleeing refugees. Instead, they found themselves in a crystalline maze, where every surface had been turned into a focusing lens. When Vera gave the signal, dozens of Lemurians channeled their life energy through the crystal network, creating a blast of pure light that dissolved the shadow creatures instantly. Possible, Elder Thane breathed, watching the tactical display. Show the Shadowkin forces in full retreat. We actually won. This is just the beginning, Marcus warned. They will return with different tactics. But now you know you can fight back. In the celebration that followed, Marcus found himself accepted into the community with a warmth that surprised him. Children who had hidden from him now wanted to hear stories about other worlds. Elderly Lemurians shared their history and wisdom. With the strange human who had helped save their new home, Elder Thane approached him as the festivities continued around them. You have proven your heart, Captain Reed. If you truly wish to stay among us, New Lumeria would welcome you as family. Marcus looked across the cavern to where Vera sat with Kira, Nyx, and Zeph, all of them laughing at something the youngest had said. Their bioluminescent skin created a warm pool of light that seemed to beckon him home. I would be honored, Marcus replied months later as Zorithia's twin moons rose over the crystal plains. Marcus and Vera stood together on a balcony carved from living stone. Below them, the sanctuary had grown into a true city, with new families arriving weekly as word spread that the Lemurians had found a way to resist the Shadowkin. "Do you ever regret staying?" Vera asked, her hand resting on the gentle curve of her stomach where their first child grew. Marcus pulled her closer, marveling at how completely his life had changed since that night when a small voice had asked if he was going to finish his dinner. "Never," he said simply. "This is where I belong." In the garden below, Kira was teaching a group of Lumerian and human children to play a new game that combined elements of both cultures. Their laughter echoed through the crystal chambers like music, promising a future where the question was not whether different species could coexist, but how beautiful that coexistence could become. The small voice that had started it all had led to something greater than any of them could have imagined: a family, a home, and hope for tomorrow among the stars.